Fist up! Africa! Israel too! Uhuru. I'm Westbrook. I'm your local president of the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement. I want to welcome you to today's Sunday rally. Before we get started, let's start with a couple house rules. The bell thumbs is toward my right, your left. Let's put the phones on silence. And before we get started, anyone's birthday in January? No? Well, somewhere. Okay, we got two forces right here. Well, to our sister Carol and brother Gregory, brother Reeds, I want to wish y'all too, and everyone else in the movement this birthday in January a happy revolutionary birthday. Uhuru, because it feels good to be on this side of the clock. Uhuru. Now, Aquava, mean welcome. I want to welcome you to this beautiful place that Black has built. It was our blood, it was our sweat, and our money, not the money from the state. So I want to welcome you to this beautiful place that's called Aquava. Led by the African People's Socialist Party, the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement is a mass organization formed in 1991 and is the leading organization in the struggle for bread, peace, and Black power for the 21st century. To join us, visit InPDUM.org/today and select a membership level. Our community rallies are held every Sunday from 3 to 5. You can catch it on YouTube at Burning Spirit TV or catch it on Facebook Live. Or come on and show up at 4101 West Florissant here in St. Louis, Missouri, like I said, between 3 and 5. But today's theme is a lesson from the front line, a year in a review with InPDUM. InPDUM is a mass institution that is under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. And this mass institution has accomplished many things in 2025, on which we will highlight some of those things today with reports from Africa, the northern region of the U.S., the Midwest region, and more. But before we continue, I want you guys to stand and join us with the African Nation fight song wrote and by our very own Uhuru. Uhuru.
Africa, we are winning. Shout Uhuru for our freedom. We are winning. We'll dance and sing songs when revolution's won. We are winning. Africa's best daughters and sons. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Red, black, and green for you and me. We are winning. Won't stop the fight till we are free. We are winning. African workers, we must unite. We are winning. Against white power, the parasite. We Socialist world of creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Patrice Lumumba's life won't be in vain. We are winning. Keep up the work in Marcus Garvey's name. We are winning. Independent and free is what we will be. We are winning. Africa will bask in our victory. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom to organization. Socialist world of creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are
We are winning. Yes, we are. We are winning. Fist up. Fight back, because when we fight back, we win. Long live the liberation. Uhuru. I have I'm pleasure. I have I'm excited, should I say, to salute my leadership, our leadership, Chairman Amali Yeshitela. So let's give him a hand round of applause. So I appreciate our leadership being in the building. So I don't want to continue on further without saluting him. I know today we we was gonna, speak on the year in review, in which we still are, but over the weekends, a few things happened. A few things, what I'm saying, took place in the world. This political education is going to be followed about news and the things that took place in Venezuela. So right within the political education, we're going to play a short video of for us the kidnapping of President Nicolas Maduro and to continue on colonizing of this hemisphere and the carving up of the world. You know, that's why the party is here. That's why InPDUM was created in '91 to help combat imperialism. But right in our very face, imperialism is happening. So of course, we couldn't go with the normal schedule year in review without pointing out colonialization in your backyard. So within this PE, we're going to play you a short video on what took place over the weekend, and follow that our chairman is going to break it down, give us some real political education on what this means. Uhuru? Uhuru. But from the Revolutionary National Democratic program and Applied African Internationalists, we're going to be dealing with point 11 and 12. 11 states. We recognize our African people throughout Africa and the world are comprising one African nation that has been forcibly dispersed and impoverished by slavery, colonialism, and the machinations of imperialism. Once again, we recognize all African people throughout Africa and the world are comprising one African nation that has been forcibly dispersed and impoverished by slavery, colonialism, and other machinations of imperialism. 12, we demand the immediate removal of borders separating our brothers and sisters from each other. This artificial border, we demand that it's removed. The border must come down, not only because they validate an imperialist definition of our identity as separated people to our disadvantage, but also because the borders restrict us to any economy that will never be large enough to provide for our needs and transform our situation. These artificial borders, these fake borders that's been put up, not only here locally, but throughout the world, to make you and I seem that we are the minority. And not only that, these borders that limit us from economics for real change. But I appreciate the party. I appreciate the chairman for creating African internationalists. For we know that these borders do not define us. These borders did not define us, our identity, or tell us who we are. That's why I take political education. But not only we support Africans all over, not just here in America in this, but in Haiti, in Africa. But not only we support our own, we support all oppressed communities that's affected by colonialism. All, all. So I appreciate Chairman when he said we got to get us our community right. We got to win liberation for us. But true liberation just don't stop or start with us. Once we bring our people to the finish line, we must not forget to look back. We must stand in solidarity with the masses oppressed people of the world. That's why we cannot be standoffish or never mindish, if I can make a word, to what's going on in Venezuela. Because they want you to say that this is different, this is a different body of people. This don't concern you. They only want you to be concerned when it's too late, when they dealing with your type of people harshly. That's why we say no, forget these artificial borders, because all our people is the same across the board, but all oppressed people is in the same boat, period. So we just can't bring liberation for ourselves. I'm not going to hold the flow, but we understand that over the weekend, some colonialization happened with a leader of a country was kidnapped, and Donald Trump stated that he's going to run this country called Venezuela. But I know you're tired of hearing me. So, Kumbula, can we play this video so we can go on be able to have a man come on to the mic and explain us what's really going on? So, Kumbula, can we hit the mic and can somebody hit the lights? Uhuru.
America's back toppling again, because today we're going to learn how Delta Force captured Maduro from a heavily fortified base inside Venezuela, and examine the massive 150 aircraft air campaign overhead. Then we'll look at who's actually in control of the country now. The first thing you need to know is the American raid really started 4 months ago, with what's called Phase 1 shaping operations. It began in August when a group of CIA officers were secretly inserted on the ground into the country. They created intelligence packets that tracked Venezuelan President Maduro's movements down to the hour, and they operated a fleet of stealth drones that sent constant live updates, professionally stalking his position. The clandestine operation developed what's called a pattern of life, which is fancy intelligence speak for what we would call a daily routine. This way, intelligence officers narrowed down Maduro's location to Fort Tiuna military complex, the large base that lies just south of the capital of Caracas, where 3 million people live. On Saturday, January 3rd, 2026, in the dead of night at 2 a.m. local time, the U.S. government gave the green light on Operation Codename Absolute Resolve. The US military launched a wave of targeted missile strikes all across the capital city. Oh boy, here I go toppling again. Bombs were launched from 20 different bases and ships. The ground assault element chosen for the raid was 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, and somewhat surprisingly, law enforcement from FBI agents from the hostage rescue team were also embedded alongside them to arrest Maduro. The bold tactics used for the insertion method shocked many military analysts. Reportedly, 11 American helicopters from the elite 160th SOAR Night Stalkers were deployed to spearhead this raid. SOAR is like the stunt drivers, but for helicopters, and they're loaded with like 300 special operators in the back. The team launched from the USS Iwo Jima Navy amphibious assault ship that's parked just a few miles off the coast of Venezuela. They flew low, only about 100 feet above the Caribbean Sea, to avoid enemy radar detection. Then they traveled the dangerous stretch of 10 miles over land from the northern shores to Fort Tiuna. They came under fire en route. One helicopter was reportedly damaged, but it was still able to remain operational. As the air assault flew across the capital, explosions erupted behind them, and it was uploaded live onto X. The operators used the MH-47G Chinooks and the MH-60L, which are special variant helicopters which have unique countermeasures. Then they approached the base, and the Ocean's 11 style raid began. Raiding this complex is an extraordinarily risky job to even undertake. Fort Tiuna has hardened concrete gates. There are pillboxes built into the mountain right there with firing positions on the high ground, armed guard towers, and continuous 24/7 patrols. It's sort of like Venezuela's version of the Pentagon. You can see here it's built right into the side of the mountain to give defenders the height advantage, as well as being able to dig deep underground. Its perimeter is pretty large. It's got about 2 miles wide by 4 miles long. Intelligence reports estimate that 5,000 of Maduro's most elite soldiers are assigned to this post. According to reports, Maduro constantly moved around the country, changing where he slept each night and throwing out burner phones to avoid being tracked to this location. But the base's defenses were defeated partly because starting in mid-December, US Cyber Command laid the groundwork by targeting the power infrastructure, planting malware in their systems. When Cyber Command flipped the switch, it turned the lights off in the country, completely killing electricity to the base and large parts of the capital city. This cut off communications and made coordinating any kind of response extremely difficult. So the soldiers disembarked from the helicopters, the commandos hit the ground, and headed directly to the on-base house that Maduro was holed up in. U.S. General Kane said that the raiding force came under direct fire, which prompted American forces to respond with, quote, overwhelming force and self-defense, end quote. Intelligence officers on the ground with the team helped them navigate the compound. They provided intel to this breaching team ahead of time that revealed that there would be thick, solid steel doors protecting Maduro. This information came from sources close to Maduro's inner circle. He had a kind of panic room that was completely sealed off. So operators brought explosive breaching charges and buzzsaws, and they were prepared to break through. Meanwhile, outside, the American direct action penetrator helicopter laid down close air support suppressing fire. This is a special beast mode upgun version of the Hilo. It went weapons free with 2 miniguns and Hydra rockets. But then Hilo started taking fire from enemy man-portable Igla air defense missiles. In response, pilots deployed their XM-216 dark flares. These defeat incoming missiles while staying invisible to the human eye. Delta Force finally breached into Maduro's on-base residence and found him. According to reports from CNN, who spoke to sources close to the raid, operators dragged Maduro out of bed, zip-tied, and blindfolded him while he was in the middle of sleeping. Then they led Maduro and his wife outside onto the Chinook helicopters and started flying back. Some Venezuelan military officer who gave away their location and was a source to the CIA just got $50 million in reward money. But this was only half the mission because the operators still had to safely extract. It was vital to the mission mandate that they capture him alive. If Maduro was somehow killed en route or during exfiltration, it would look like America had ordered an assassination mission, which would cause all kinds of additional legal trouble. This was one of the most geopolitically sensitive missions that I can think of in recent history. They had kicked the hornet's nest. The whole freaking country was coming down on them now. The question on every Delta Force operator's mind on the way back was, could they trust US air power to cover their exfiltration? On their way out of Venezuela, the US air power continued to strike strategic military installations across the country to create a diversion for them to safely escape. F-22 Raptors, F-35 stealth fighters, F-18s, radar aircraft, and B-1 Lancer bombers participated in the attacks. They hit bases all over in the states of La Guaira, Miranda, and Aragua. This was to create multiple dilemmas. This was achieved thanks to an air campaign that had been happening simultaneously overhead that achieved air supremacy. The operation reportedly involved 150 American fighter aircraft that had the goal of complete and total control of the skies. Fighter aircraft launched long-range precision missiles. Large explosions were heard across the capital. Local language news reporting stated that these explosions targeted air defense radar antennas. This was a massive seed operation, suppression of enemy air defenses. According to Oceanit Defender on X, good friend of the show, the air campaign destroyed Buck long-range air defense systems and knocked out all the armored vehicles at the bases. And since then, new satellite imagery has come out and shown the scale of the destruction at the base. Large parts of the base were entirely flattened. American jammers scrambled radar systems, and anti-radiation missiles targeted the enemy's S-300 air defense launchers. Not Putin furiously taking notes on how to do a special 3-day military operation with 69 hours to spare. The reason they were able to achieve this is because they struck major air bases, including the one at La Carlota and the Higuerota Airport, where Maduro's Air Force
I appreciate it.
could have launched from.
Can we hit the light? And as you see, it went on. So I just wanted to show a little bit of it to set the ground, And I think it's nothing said. I don't think I need to hear from me because the ground was already said. So I had a pleasure right now to bring in our chairman on up to explain this, what this all means. Uhuru. Fist up. Right back.
Thank you, Comrade President, for the introduction, for the brief showing of the film that we looked at. I just want to say that part of what we have just witnessed on January 3rd, or early morning of January 3rd, bringing the new year in, was an heightened extension of terror, lawlessness by a government and a social system that truly is in a state of decline and is trying to stop history. It's trying to reverse history. We call that revanchism. Trying to take back the past, trying to take back rather everything that's been lost by the imperial power. I think it's really important to make that statement, and also to say that many of us wondered how the U.S. was able to move so quickly, so effectively, and efficiently in terms of capturing the territory, and especially capturing the president and his wife. We've heard various explanations for that. And we've heard more than one explanation coming from the US government. What we just watched was basic propaganda. The film that we just viewed was basic propaganda. And I'm not saying this to undermine the significance, the technological significance that's at play here, because all the technology of the colonizers, all of the science of the colonizers served to maintain the existing social system. All the science, I mean, they take science and turn it into a monster, to a beast. Science that should be serving the people, helping to feed, house, and clothe people, solving the kinds of problems that human beings have in this struggle with nature of sorts. I mean, they've turned it into a struggle with nature, and they've taken science and turned it into something else. So yeah, they have become quite efficient. They have created this thing that we recognize as counterinsurgency. And counterinsurgency is the methods by which an oppressor uses to protect itself from what they call insurgents or insurgencies. Insurgencies are the struggles of people who are trying to change their relationship to the oppression. They call people who are struggling against the social system that oppresses them, they refer to them as insurgents. And even the United Nations recognizes the concept of insurgence and legitimacy of insurgency. And one of the things that oppressor countries attempt to do all the time is to prevent a resistance of the people from actually maturing to what they would be characterized as an insurgency. The moment it's recognized and come to exist as an insurgency, it means that other countries and what have you have the ability to be able to unite with them and support an insurgency. They can't just invade. I should say that back. I mean, it would be difficult. Even the United States creates a false insurgency that they could unite with. For example, the country that we call Panama used to be a part of Colombia, but the U.S. needed to have a pathway. They needed to have a canal that would make it possible for them to go from the Atlantic to the Pacific without having to go around all of that territory. So they influenced something that became this Panamanians to engage in a struggle against the Colombian government many years ago. And when the Panamanian insurgents did that, the United States recognized them, and they called on the United States for support. And that's how they ended up taking what is now called Panama and doing that canal and what have you. So the concept of insurgency is one that's been out there for a while. And colonial powers worked very hard to prevent movements from actually achieving what might be characterized as insurgency. So counterinsurgency is something that is developed by oppressors and colonizers to maintain the oppression of groups of people, of countries, and things like that. So the U.S. has become quite sophisticated. I mean, they've been doing counterinsurgency forever. I mean, they took this land that we're on now. Many people want to not remember or recognize the reality or dismiss it or minimize the significance of the fact that we living on a territory, you and I right now, here inside the United States, is a settler colony where this is a land of the indigenous people that was taken by force. And with the same kind of false explanations that we just heard going into what happened with Venezuela. In many instances, they even claimed that nobody was there. Nobody was that's how they could discover it, because if somebody was there, how the hell do you discover it? So people say, what's the logic of this thing about Columbus discovered America? Well, you discovered if nobody really is there, or nobody else has custody of the land. So anyway, the U.S. and most of the European powers became quite efficient in developing counterinsurgency warfare. That is to crush insurgencies. Sometimes, if possible, before they exist. They've even written manuals and things like that. You can Google manuals. If you should go to Google right now on counterinsurgency, some by the U.S. Marines, some by other entities. Brother Gregory probably got books on counterinsurgency. So they've actually turned this into a science, and they have to make it a science because they need their existence and their prosperity is based on their ability to continue to take the resources of somebody else. Anyway, at something like 2 o'clock in the morning, as we've heard, the United States escalated the attacks that it was making on Venezuela. I said escalated because for months, as you know, the U.S. had battleships, and the largest battleship in the world, which is the part of the United States Arsenal, has been parked there in the Caribbean. It's been bombing fisher boats, killing hundreds of people, claiming that they were drug pushers, and simply wiping them out without defenseless people. You know, we're not debating the question of them being drug pushers. We know where the drugs come from and who actually are the drug pushers. We had a slogan once upon a time that the White House is the rock house and Uncle Sam is the pusher man. And even in this country, the tomes have been written about the United States involvement in creating this drug that they call crack. That some people, mistakenly refer to as cocaine, but it's a derivative of cocaine. It's more deadly than cocaine. And it was created by the CIA. And the primary pusher that they invented was somebody who had never seen cocaine in his life before the CIA brought it to him and set it up for him and allowed him to be a powerful pusher of those drugs within our community, starting on the West Coast. Yeah, Rick Ross, Highway Rick, as he was called. So the U.S., in disregard for all international law, escalated this attack they've been making. They have been terrorizing the community for long periods of time. They have put a $50 million bounty on the head of the president of Venezuela. And I want to say that while we are looking at this current administration in the U.S. having carried out this offensive, that the first indictment, which is crazy, of this government, this president, came from Joseph Biden. It was Biden who initially had, I think, then a 10 and then a $20 million bounty on the president of Venezuela. And what we've seen now, what we've just seen in terms of the bounty was an escalation of that by the current U.S. regime. So I think it's important to say that because it should be helpful for us to recognize this, because there is a tendency to attribute bad acts by this government to particular individuals when it's a system. And that people make the mistake of expecting a system that's designed to steal and crush people's lives it's designed for that. That's the system. That's the nature of the system. And people make mistakes when they assume that the system can do anything different. I reminded somebody the other day about a song. I think this brother made this song about the snake. What's his name, Comrade Gregory? Brown, was it something Brown Jr.? What was his name? He wrote the song about the snake. And the song goes that this woman, on some cold day, on her way home, she saw the snake, and the snake was just about frozen in the ice. And she took the snake home, and she nursed the snake, and she gave it milk and warmth and what have you. And then on one occasion, she had the snake, and she was just kissing it and put the snake to her bosom. And when she did that, the snake bit her. And she was astounded. Why would you do this? I brought you in, I saved your life, I gave you milk, etc. And now you're biting me. And the snake's response was, you knew I was a snake when you brought me home. I just did what snakes do. And that's what we look at when we look at what the U.S. Is doing here. And one reason there's a tendency to forget that is because there's a tendency to forget that the U.S. itself is a settler colony. This is indigenous land, that the traditional custodians of this land are in concentration camps. Gaza shouldn't surprise us because there are concentration camps right here in this country. It's the biggest settler and the original founding settler colony that's responsible for the development of settler colonialism throughout the world in many ways. So it did, and colonialism cannot exist without extreme violence and oppression. And so what we had was a system defending itself because colonialism is a system that requires, it's a parasite. It's like a tapeworm. It requires the ability to be able to live at the expense of a host. It sucks the blood of a host. It eats the resources of a host. A parasite has to have a host. And you know, I use the analogy about the tapeworm. Some of you may be familiar with tapeworms. Some of you may be too young to remember when tapeworms were really, you know, significantly involved in our communities, especially eating that meat. You meat eaters were real prone to that possibility. And because the tapeworm, when you in the meat, a larva for the worm is in the meat. You eat the meat, and the meat and you eat the worm, and the worm attaches itself to your intestines. That's the tapeworm. It doesn't do any work. It just hangs onto your intestines. You do the work. You go out and, if you're lucky, get a job or however you have to acquire something to eat. You even have to eat it, and then you swallow it. And you can't figure out why you're not getting any bigger. In fact, you sometimes getting smaller. But inside you, there's that tapeworm. It's getting bigger and bigger that doesn't do any work at all. It's a parasite. And it can't act any way differently. If it did something differently, it would die. If the tapeworm did not have the resources of the host, it would die. That's what we see when we're looking at Venezuela. It's got to continue to take these resources as a consequence of the growing success of people around the world taking back their resources, fighting for the resources, some more successfully than others in China. Some more successful than others in Afghanistan, in fighting in Palestine, fighting throughout Africa to take back the resources. The parasite is suffering as a consequence of that, and finds itself not only suffering from that, but fighting with other parasites who, given an opportunity, would take its place. And so you have this kind of competition between parasites. Who's going to get the resource? And that creates an added factor to the crisis that we're looking at. So you have the U.S., it attacks Venezuela, it goes in militarily, quite successfully, kidnaps the president and his wife, which is extraordinary. And part of it, and they cover this breach of international law. It actually violates critical principles of the United Nations, and it covers this breach of international law, and it covers this breach of U.S. constitutional law that requires the war to be declared as a consequence of Congress. And so they said this is not war. This is a police action because we indicted these guys. We indicted the husband and the wife, and subsequently the son. And so we're just going there with the Drug Enforcement Administration and the FBI. We're just going in to arrest them. This is not war. They just come along so that we can make this arrest. That was the explanation they offered. And it's a bogus explanation, of course. You can see through it, it's paper thin. But the thing about it is that even if they did have a legitimate basis for trying to make an arrest of them, the thing is that you can't, there's no law that allows you to attack the sovereignty of another country. So if that were the case, you know, they wouldn't have waited for Assata to die. They would have invaded to try to take Assata, Robert Williams, others who had sought and achieved some kind of sanctuary from U.S. oppression and exploitation. So it's a false thing that they said. And part of the way we know it's false is that you don't have to know all of the details about something that's happened in history to be able to make a judgment of what's truthful and what's not truthful. You just have to know the history of the forces who are telling the story. And if you know the history of the United States and how it was founded and what it does to African people daily and how it puts drugs in our community. There are cops right here in St. Louis and every place that we know of that puts drugs in the community, plant drugs in the community, and what have you. Every place that happens. You know how the country stole more than half of Mexico. That the so-called Louisiana Purchase that includes St. Louis, where we're living now. How the hell can Thomas Jefferson, a slave owner, a rapist, pedophile, wasn't he a pedophile? Sally Heming was 13 years old when he started making babies by her. And she was enslaved by Jefferson. And so how the Thomas Jefferson, because of Haiti, Haiti makes a successful revolution and crushes Napoleon's best army in the struggle for Haitian liberation. And the French was no longer capable of defending this possession that they call the Louisiana Purchase. They call it Louisiana because it was named for whom? For whom? Came Louis, right? Louis. And so it was controlled by the French. But there were indigenous people living all over this land. And so there's this braggadocio statement in what's called history books in this country that talked about how clever the U.S. was to take this land, purchase this land for only $15 million, right? But that included the indigenous people. Nobody purchased it from the indigenous people. They just took it. And this is part of the history that we are talking about that gets dismissed. When you're telling the story about Venezuela, you're not telling the complete story unless you tell the story of colonialism, how it came into existence, what makes it exist, and why they would have to do what they did in Venezuela, not as a show of strength, as they think they are doing. They think they are showing their muscle, but what they're doing is revealing the fact that the parasite is hungry for a host that is continuously living because the people are resisting exploitation and oppression and colonialism. So, one of the interesting things about what transpired on January 3rd and what was revealed in press statements, conferences made by the U.S. president and the Pete Hegseth, the guy who is over the Department of War, they mentioned some of the agencies that participated, facilitated this attack. 150 helicopters, they said, and I don't know how many soldiers, troops they had on the ground in Venezuela. But the other thing they mentioned was the Pentagon of the West, the NGA, which is less than 8 blocks from where we are today, that supplies them with satellite information, controls. You don't make a phone call. You don't hear. You don't, who are viewing this, can make a phone call, make any communications through any means at all without the NGA being involved. It's involved in every communication that you are involved in. So this is the apparatus that played a role there. That could say, hit here, kill here. It brags about being able, from miles up in the air, being able to read your license plate number through this satellite imaging and things like that. So this is what they have. And they had, like I said, extraordinary technology. And all the technology is created and devised to oppress and exploit. There is no technology they create, even dealing with something as simple as most of the cancers that we suffer from. And I say simple because much of it is attached to lifestyle, to diet, and things like that. And all your diets are influenced and created by forces who own and control the food supply. And we live in a country born out of colonialism and colonial slavery, where they create this thing that they call capitalism on the backs of colonialism, and throughout the system, nothing is produced for the people. Nothing. Everything is for profit. And if you have a hospital, it's not a hospital there to heal people. It's a hospital there to make money. That's why you have insurance corporations. If you ain't got no insurance, you ain't got no hospital. So everything from this society under this system is like that. And so they went in and they killed, we don't know how many people yet. And they captured a legitimate president. And what's really interesting about that is that this same government that indicted, invaded the home and sanctuary of the people of Venezuela and the president of Venezuela, and kidnapped him and brought him. I think they say he may have made it to New York. I know they talked about possibility of New York and Miami, right? But this same person has just pardoned the ex-president of Honduras, who had been indicted and put in prison for running a drug cartel in Honduras. So this is just a total illegitimate rationale that they've offered to the people of why they attacked Venezuela. I want to say also that I think it's really easy to peel back the nonsense that they've offered. They talked about drugs and they talked about crime, and then what you heard from the US president was, we're going to run it. We're going to run the country. They said it more than once. We're going to run this country. And then he says that we're going to send our oil companies in there and we're going to make a lot of money. He said it over and over again. We're going to make a lot of money. We're going to control the oil coming out of Venezuela. They accused Venezuela of stealing U.S. oil. It's the most ridiculous thing you ever want. It's the largest oil deposit known to the world. That's right there in Venezuela. And it was stolen, the whole country. They're talking about you stole the oil. They stole the whole country. And then when the people take their country back, including the oil, they say, you stole our oil and therefore you got to pay us back for the stealing our oil. This is the same thing that happened with the French. When we won our freedom in Haiti, the whole white world got together, including the United States, to force Haiti to pay reparations to France for their loss of property. And we were that loss of property. And so Haiti spent almost 100 years paying them for that. That's the rationale of colonialism. That's the colonial mode of production that we are looking at. So I just want to say this before shutting up, that we are going to see a lot of, I imagine we'll see a lot. Let me take that back. I may have spoken too early. But there are going to be protests and demonstrations about what just transpired in terms of the attack on Venezuela. And I think there should be protests. I think people should support protests wherever we can. But the thing is that we cannot spend eternity engaged in protests. That in many ways is an acceptance of the existing social system. So the only thing you're going to do is protest this world that you live in. It's not good enough to constantly protest the world you live in. What we have to do is create the world that we want to live in. And that's what we have to be about. So yeah, we will protest. We will go out. You call it protest about. In fact, on Tuesday, I think at 11 o'clock, members of the Black is Back Coalition, including our movement, our party, and Zaki Barudi and Universal African People's Organization, anybody else we can get, will be participating in a press conference, protesting this, denouncing what has just happened. But that's not all we do. Well, the other things we do is what is called Black Power Blueprint that the current deputy chair has been working on for ages now, where we're rehabilitating our entire community. We are negating colonialism. Because if the only thing you're going to do is protest colonialism, then you've just got a permanent job. It's like Robin Hood, who robbed the rich to give to the poor. Didn't change the condition of the poor, didn't change the condition of the rich. just took from the rich and gave to the poor, and he's the only employed person in England. But the thing is that we want to end the system like that. And that means that we have to fight against colonialism itself. That means it's not good enough just to walk around talking about how much you hate racism. Racism is bad. What in the hell is racism anyway? And I'm not being facetious when I say this because it's such a phony description of our reality, that what it is that we experience. And it puts white people in this center of the universe. No, you're fighting to make white people like you. You're fighting to change the attitudes of white people. You know, the white people, they don't like us, and this kind of stuff. So what? How in the hell, you're talking about pedophiles, you're talking about rapists, you're talking about kidnappers, you're talking about people who brutalize you every day, blow up your churches, kill your leaders and your children, and they don't like you. Yeah. Anyway, the thing is that we have to end this relationship with a particular system. And it's true. I believe that there are a whole bunch of white people, maybe the majority, who don't like us. But the reason they don't like us is because their material interest requires them to steal everything we got. And they have to disguise that. They have to hide that. They have to say that God brought them, Santa Claus gave it to them because they're good. All kinds of nonsensical rationale created for that. And we've given white people an opportunity to break out of that and join the rest of humanity because we are not going to continue to live as slaves. I don't care how many Venezuelans you raid, how many presidents you kidnap, how many Malcolm X's you murder, the resistance of the people is going to continue. And that's what we're involved in, and that's what we're building now. So I think that what has to happen is the work that we do. We have to continue to build the Black Power blueprint, because it is the blueprint for Black Power, the economic development. I think that everybody here should anticipate coming to the party's plenary that's going to be in April, just a couple of months from now, 17, where people will be here from all over the country, and we'll be laying out a comprehensive analysis of our condition as a people and the condition of the world, and what it is that we have accomplished and what it is that we have to do to move forward. That's going to be extremely important. That helps to put into context this entire thing that we're looking at, because we shouldn't be surprised by Venezuela. We should not be surprised by it. And the fact is that that's the life of those of us who are colonized. And the majority of the people live under the colonial domination of a handful of mobsters who call themselves Democrats and call themselves somebody who protects democracy and things like that. And they're mobsters. And we're going to have to be able to explain to your neighbors. I just saw something today. My wife showed me a platform from somebody my personal trainer, and he's applauding what just happened in Venezuela, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People, we have to provide the education, because the only education they're getting is from those who shadow ban us, from those who deny us access to our own mediums and things like that. So we have to take that on in a very serious way. And so those are some of the things that I would put forward in terms of Venezuela, because the bigger problem for Venezuela is not the lack of resources or preparations or capacity of the government of Venezuela. It's the weakness of a movement against colonialism here in the United States that would allow this country not to be able to move around without having to protect its own ass. And so it can preoccupy itself with killing and murdering and maiming and looting other countries. That is a problem. And that's a little different from some of what we saw in the 1960s. even though there was, in some instances, a lack of clarity about the colonial question. But we did see whole movements that were able to alter the behavior of the government at different times. The Vietnam resistance. In fact, the struggle that African people were involved in, you didn't see it like that because most of the anti-war protesters were white that you saw. And people used to marvel at that because polls showed that majority of African people were opposed to the war, majority of white people were for the war. But yet, when you looked at the anti-war movement, there was white, and people were confused by that. But the fact is, one is that we were involved in anti-war movement. About 50 to 65% of the soldiers, U.S. soldiers on the front line of Vietnam were Africans. Africans. And Africans were the ones who created this thing that they call fragging. And fragging comes from the concept of fragmentation grenade. And what Africans were doing on the front lines is that their officers who were sending them always to the front, always there to die, and treating them like garbage, even as the civil rights movement was heating up inside this country, even as the Black Power movement had begun to develop, Africans would slip by their officers' tent and throw fragmentation grenades into the tents. And whole movements of African people resisting grew up in Vietnam. Mau Mau was the name of one of the organizations that connected Africans throughout in the military throughout Vietnam. So we were resisting and played a big role in making it necessary for the United States to come out of Vietnam, along with the Vietnamese themselves, of course, who played this magnificent heroic role and carried the colonized people on their shoulders for a long period of time. And then the other thing I think is worth mentioning is that something that we've moved to resolve is that you had a peace movement that saw war and the need for peace everywhere except here. And so you had people who would literally throw their bodies in front of trains. I saw this. One white boy lay down on the railroad track, tried to protest, and of course the train rolled over him and cut his legs off. And so you saw this kind of protest happening, but you couldn't see a single one of them who would stand in front of a police car coming to the African community that was killing Black people on a regular basis in this country. So what are you talking about, peace? You're talking about peace on the plantation. The president of the United States wanted peace. This president wants peace. But peace is something if the enslaved would surrender. If we stop fighting, they would have peace. That's the peace they want. They want peace on the plantation. They want an imperialist peace. They want a colonial peace, and that's not a peace that we can live with. So I just wanted to say that and to express appreciation for you. Comrade Zaki Baruti is trying to get here. As I understand, he should be here shortly. As I mentioned on Tuesday, we'll be doing a press conference to protest what has happened with Venezuela. But everybody here should join and work with the Black Power Blueprint, because that's the thing that negates colonialism. We gotta negate colonialism, because colonialism produces everything. Produced Vietnam, produced what we see happening in Gaza, produces what Venezuela produces, because Cuba's high on their list too. In fact, they said it during part of the interviews that they've just had. They threatened, the president of the United States said the president of Colombia had better watch his ass. The part of what this was about was terrorizing and threatening other countries who might dare to resist, saying, this is what we would do to you if you should resist. And that's part of what this is all about. So I thank you, Comrade President. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Uhuru.
Stop! Stop! Right back. Uhuru. Why don't Professor Chairman Malia Shatella? And I can appreciate that. And with this colonization that Trump doing in the our backyard, it's nothing new. You know, y'all know about Dole sugar, right? Dole sugar. Yeah. Okay, okay. Well, you know, they descendants in 1893 uprooted the Hawaiian Queen and colonized Hawaii. That's how we got Hawaii. We know in 1898, you know, your Guam, your Philippines, your Cuba, etc. Your Puerto Rico, thank you. Yeah, that's how we colonized them through the quote Spanish wars. But time and time again, so folks, I don't want folks to look at this and see that this something new. This something old, and they tool belt. They use this coup as an apparatus on continue on colonizing the world. Because, like I said, we know Mossadegh in 53 in Iran, the Guatemala in 54, 60 with Congo and Patrice Lumumba, 61 with the Dominican Republic in Vietnam, 53, Brazil, 54, Chad, 73. Well, I'm missing Brazil, yes, Chad, 72, 73. Chile, what I'm trying to say, 72. Chad 82, Grenada 83, Panama 89, Iraq 23, Haiti 04 and what 14 and 24 again. You know what I'm talking about? We know Libya in 2001. So merely 2006 with Venezuela is nothing new. It's just an old tool in a playbook. But that being said, briefly, I want to open up the mic for discussion. So if anyone would like to bless the mic, please do. Uhuru? Uhuru. Let's give it up for Greg. Uhuru.
Yes, sir, Brother Chair. You had made comment about the police action that was going on in Venezuela. And that is supposedly, and I heard it on the news also, that the administration is attempting to say that this was not a military operation, it was police action. And they showed the FBI and police. Well, what struck me when you were speaking to that is we just had a local police action when they take ICE, and they use that as their military and then attack our communities. You know, the colonizers have a methodology, and if we open our eyes, we can see it clearer each day.
Well, the conundrum for them, or should be a conundrum, is that they characterize themselves as providers and defenders of democracy. So they have to have an explanation for why they're doing all these anti-democratic things. So they say, well, we're not doing it because we don't want the people in Venezuela to be free. It's because they're selling drugs. They come to my house at 5 o'clock in the morning. And why do they attack? Why do they attack the Uhuru 3? I mean, it's really clear. I mean, what we've done here, they've tried to prevent everything that we've done. They've tried to make sure that none of this can happen for the development of our community. But they're not doing it to us because we are trying to develop the community. They're doing it because we work for Russians. And it doesn't matter what it is that we are doing. This is, they say, is content neutral law. So it doesn't matter what we say. It had nothing to do with what we said. It just had the fact that Russia told us to say it. And they even went so far as to say that something to the effect that it could be a Russian recipe. As the Russians told us to say it, then we were working for a foreign government. It was contrived. And if nobody knew it was contrived from the very beginning, I don't know how many years they spent so-called investigating us. I think from 2014 to 2022, I think this investigation was supposed to have been going on. And yet, when we come to trial, we have a situation where even after saying that they would pay $10 million for anybody who can provide information saying that we broke the law. $10 million. You know, starving communities everywhere, African communities, nobody took that. And then we come to a situation where the trial, they only had 14 witnesses. And no people, 14, 12 FBI agents, and 2 people they paid who were supposed to be professors and experts on Russia. And even with all of that, they couldn't convict us for being Russian agents. They had nothing to convict us. They said they convicted us because they said we thought about being Russian agents. Yeah. Yeah. And which is ridiculous. So the point I'm making is that it's a dilemma for them to be forced to explain what they're doing that goes against the very grain of the principles that they say are foundational democratic principles in this country. Free speech is supposed to be a democratic right. So they got this way of trying to twist themselves into all kinds of contortionist constructs to explain why, if we're supposed to have the right to free speech, they're doing this stuff to us. But in our communities, we know no such thing as free speech. When the cop rolls up on the corner and tell us, young people every night, give me the corner, you can't say, well, I got the freedom of assembly. I mean, you can say it if you want to. Right. Something bad's going to happen to you. And if you say something to the cop that he doesn't like, you remember Rodney King. And Rodney King was just one example. He was one example because somebody just happened to have a camera around when that happened, and it got in the news. So freedom of assembly, free speech, none of this stuff is real when it comes to colonized people, which is why when Africans say, this is what happened to us, and white people are more likely to say, well, you must have done something. You must have done something, because well, they characterize the relationship that white people have to the capitalist system as hidden dictatorship. But ain't nothing hidden about the dictatorship that happens with African people. And white people live in this country, the same country we live in right now, don't know a damn thing about African people in our communities. In fact, they freak out. They have these sphincter clenching moments when they get off the wrong exit at the interstate and hit the African community accidentally. You can see them bouncing out of there as quickly as they can because they are afraid of Black people. They don't know anything about African people, and yet we are pushed to this situation where we have to pretend that we're all the same. We're all the same, and the laws for you and for me are the same, which is nonsense. So yeah, I just think that this is their conundrum. And like our objective here has to be make them either say that democracy exists or it doesn't for Black people. Yeah. And what this administration has done is really clever, is that they are saying that we are the ones who violated democratic rights. They say they're going to allow an escalation, or rather a reduction in the number of refugees that can come to the United States now. And that those refugees they're going to allow in are white people from South Africa who against whom genocide is being committed. Genocide is being committed against the white people in South Africa. That's what they said. Not just any white people, but the Boers, who were the ones who administered the whole apartheid regime that gave birth to the sellout that y'all like to salute, Nelson Mandela, etc. So they said they're going to, they got the concession, unity with the president of Nigeria to bomb Nigeria, to protect Christians. This is the kind of stuff that we see happening now, and they emboldened by what just happened in Venezuela. And this is something that they've been struggling with for many years. I'm gonna stop. I'll stop. I'll stop. Yeah, Uhuru.
Okay, we have another comment, but before I comment, the last comment, just to clarify, it was the U.S. military and the CIA that was doing all these evasions and military coups, but they call you and I the criminal, number one. And number two, we want to give a shout out to all the watchers through social media that's coming from Tanzania, that's coming from Colombia, and throughout St. Louis, throughout America, but especially on the continent in Colombia, because Uhuru, we know you have your own personal struggles there, Uhuru. But let our comrade Sophia bless the mic. Uhuru.
So I just want to ask a couple of questions that may be on the minds of people who kind of see this on the news and are not necessarily politically fluent about when you say to participate in protests. And a lot of times we see people out there protesting and people, how effective are protests? People may have that question, like, are they really effective? What is the purpose of the protests? Things like that. Because that's the question I have too, is are they really effective as far as that? And then for the way that things were done and things that are being done right now, what do you say to people who have a fear of there being a war that may be on our end? Because yes, we can build the Black community and do that type of stuff, but if there's no community here, then what do? What are other things that we should be preparing to do? I know some of the stuff, I think with the plenary, we might be discussing that, so we could just speak to those things.
I don't understand the last question about if there's no community here. Our end, what do you mean our end? War on our end?
You know, where there may be bombs, like how people in Gaza are living right now. We end up in a situation similar to that. Or Iraq, you know, how they had to live or at one point.
Yeah, you mean whether or not the bombing that they do now would be escalated to that extent?
Correct.
Because my house was bombed in July.
One house as opposed to neighborhoods.
Yeah, well, what they did, they locked off the entire neighborhood, the whole entire Black neighborhood. They used flashbang grenades and locked the entire neighborhood. But I understand the point that you're making. First of all, protests can be effective. So we're not liquidating the whole concept of protests. The thing that's helpful about protests, two things helpful about protests, is that it enhances the fighting capacity of the people. The people engage in protests and what have you, it enhances the fighting capacity of the people. Two, it maintains the democratic space. It is an attempt to maintain the democratic space that we've won over when we paid for it in blood. The ability to express our views and be able to show dissent. And three, I think protests are important, can be important because there are people who have the same ideas and same opposition to what's going on that you do. But they don't have the courage to say it. They often think that they're the only ones who think like that. So when they see us out there, when they see protests out there, it helps to give them permission to resist and to oppose what's happening as well. So those are some of the things that make protests meaningful. But what I'm saying is that you can't just build on protests. That you have to have an end in mind. The protest has to be tethered to some strategic end, like the liberation of our people. That's what we do. When we engage in protests, it's all connected to a strategic objective of African liberation. And one of the things that struck me when I first came to St. Louis, and the criticism I would make often, is when people were demonstrating. This was magnificent when after Ferguson, the way the people would come out, whole families, communities would come out and engage in demonstration, but the poverty of leadership, so that there was no to what end. This is the question we continue to what end? Give direction. What is the objective of what it is that we are doing? And that was something that, generally speaking, was not supplied. And on the one occasion that I had an opportunity, or an occasion I had an opportunity to raise something about on August 30th, after marching off Canfield Drive, and the people thought they were going to be going to the police station. And instead, the leaders took them to some empty park where nobody was there. And people were really offended by that. And finally, when I had an opportunity, they finally let me on the platform. And I was a part of the original Mike Brown Defense Committee, whatever it was called. And when I got there, I spoke maybe 15 seconds. And the moment revolution came out of my mouth, I said, revolution, I was bum rushed, literally physically bum rushed off the stage. So you know, you use these processes as agitation, you know, protests. You use them to, and that can be important, but there has to be tied to a greater end. I want to say that, and the war on our end. That was an important question that was raised, because one of the things that makes it so important is what I just mentioned, that they used to attack and kill people in Venezuela, the NGA West, Pentagon West, as they call it, right here, right 8 blocks from where we are now, was a part of that process. So should things get so intense, get more intense, and the possibility of conflict escalating between the great powers, between Russia and the United States, or China and the United States, or Iran and the United States, or any other force, and they want to hit back at the United States, what would they hit earlier than the strategic entity called the NGA? And it's right in the middle of the African community. So that's a real possibility. And part of what I think that means is that spies don't like to be seen. They like to work in the dark, undercover. And part of what I think that means is that there needs to be, you know, like a concerted effort to expose the presence of this spy agency right here in the middle of the African community that literally took African properties. There are hundreds of homes. They took, using the power of eminent domain from the government that's here. They've acquired something like 2,000 acres of Black people's property. And that's, yeah, so that's the kind of thing I think we need to have processes that will expose that kind of thing. So, did I answer your questions? Come in. Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna be dropping a lot of bombs in our community and around us, because you know, white man Air Force base here in Missouri, it operates your B-2 bomber. But we got another Conrad that's for the blast the mic, Uhuru. And let's give us your name and where you from, because it's my first maybe second time seeing your face, but let's, yeah. Uhuru.
So I know everybody. My name is Justin Boyle. I'm from St. Louis.
Okay, that's what's up.
And currently, I think my question is really formulated around just like from your all's perspective doing this work. Do y'all believe that it has infiltrated into mainstream like Black culture in St. Louis? And if not, what are the strategies to get our people to integrating this into like a foundational like cultural touch point of living life as a Black St. Louisan or a St. Louisan concerned about, you know, liberation for Black people?
I really appreciate that intervention, because that's a fundamental question, and we haven't satisfied that intent to the extent that we need to satisfy that intent. We do have a newspaper, and that's one of the things that we would be working assiduously to get out among the people, and let the people also see themselves reflected in that newspaper culturally and in terms of what's happening with us. This is not, you know, the typical kind of newspaper. It's a revolutionary publication. It talks about a program of liberation for African people. And one of the things that is significant, I think, about our situation right now in this country, in this world, is with the defeat of the Black Revolution of the 1960s. When I say Black Revolution, I'm speaking generically. I'm talking about the revolution against white power that's happening all over the world. I'm talking about the Black Revolution that Malcolm X used to talk about, where red yelling black people all around the world are organizing to change our relationship to white power. And of course, we saw in the 1960s a major counteroffensive against this revolution. People were assassinated all over. Malcolm assassinated, Lumumba assassinated, King assassinated, Nkrumah overthrown, assassinated, Che Guevara wounded, captured, assassinated. I mean, assassinations happening everywhere. I mean, just in, I think it was 1962, it may have been, where more than 1 million revolutionaries in Indonesia were massacred with the support of the CIA. So we had real movements that were fighting against colonialism. And then part of the strategy of our oppressor was to replace the revolution with substitutes, people who were not for revolution, organizations who were not for revolution. And even as the government was killing us and being expressing opposition to Black Power, they renamed these people as representative of Black Power. I'm talking about people like Jesse Jackal, ultimately Al Charlatan, and there were others, you know, a whole host of others who took us off point. And you've got the basic liberal African middle class forces. I say middle class, I'm not talking just because they wear coats and ties or something like that or own a home. I'm talking about their politic that's united not with the masses of our people who are generally speaking working class, if we got a job at all. And they are ones who they function as ideological transmission belts into our communities. And they disarm the people ideologically and work all the time to convince the people that the solution is inside the system of oppression as opposed to extricating ourselves from the system of oppression. You look at the 1960s and the black poets. You look at the 1960s and Gil Scott-Heron. Look at the 1960s and the culture that was expressed through the revolutionary movement. That's the thing that has to be rebuilt. And cultural workers, if you are such a person yourself, you have to connect with the future that has to be developed and based on recognition of how the revolution was betrayed in the past. It was killed off, and then there were people in our own communities who misdirected and betrayed that. So that's the culture we're looking for, because you can have the hippest culture in the world. You know, you can have people dancing, and in fact, the FBI or CIA purchased, they bought the rights, the movie rights to Animal Farm, which was done by, what's his name? Orwell. I'm told that the Frida Payne song, not Bring the Boys Home, but Dancing in the Streets, I'm told that this was something that the FBI or CIA had introduced to Motown's records. So, you know, Africans out there fighting and then they're dancing in the streets. You understand this kind of stuff to take that energy in another direction. So, meaningful culture for a slave is revolutionary culture. Culture that changes our location in this social system, overturn our relationship to this social system. That's what Emory Douglas did. And everybody in this room too young to remember Gerald 2X. Gregory may know about Gerald 2X, who was a cartoonist for the original Muhammad Speaks from the so-called Black Muslims, as they were characterized, Nation of Islam. And they did great cultural stuff. Emory Douglas, great cultural stuff. And there were others, even, you know, associated with us. So that's what we're looking for, a dynamic revolutionary culture. Are you a cultural worker? Okay. Okay. Yeah, students can be cultural workers.
Station.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad that Comrade Gregory mentioned that, because we have a radio station in Florida, and there's one that's going to be opening up right across here. We've got the building for it and everything, and so we really intend to impact culturally. And one thing, of course, is to people are tired. Africans are tired of being sold out, tired of showing up at meetings that don't lead to anything. just people talking and what have you. And so if you say you're having a meeting, people think it's the same old thing. So those of us who know better have to work hard to get, people to these meetings so that we can go to work and bring more people into this working process. So what's your name again, brother?
Justin.
Justin? Good to see you, Justin. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Good to see you, my brother. I want to echo that, and so we can actually start the program. I just want to quickly elaborate. We've been the party been here since Mike Brown, but I think the headquarters moved up at 18, right? Thereabout, But since then, yes. I grew up and born and raised in St. Louis, North Side. Even though grew up, touch every damn near spot of of St. Louis, I could say not only we have that revolutionary culture that the chairman was speaking about, so yeah, folks know us about that. But not only that, um, I know you heard of the Uhuru movement. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we have sown our tentacles, if you will, within St. Louis. A lot of folks, I know a lot of outsiders, and I'm not fit to mention no names, they try to paint us as outsiders, quote unquote. But we not. That, like I said, we not. We got a lot of folks that's born and raised from here, but the folks that came in, we don't recognize these artificial borders anyway that they had put in front of us. But since the party being on the ground, uh, a lot of things that what might have been known as party now it is entrenched within St. Louis. I don't know if you pay attention to news per se, but before the party came up here, this region was more on racism. Now you hear more colonialism. You know what I'm talking about? That's what the party brought up here. You might have saw up and down Taylor or Newstead, some areas, your red, black, and green painted trash cans, etc. You know what I'm talking about? But the real uh, supporting and getting behind Black Power, that came through the party. You know what I mean? Because of course it was one thing putting up a flag on your on a porch. But when you change whole corridors, from once upon a time, this was looked at as the stroll. Now it's not necessarily painted at that picture, you know what I mean, because of what the party done. Uh, 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 I just love that our paper preceded what the chairman was saying. You can pick it up on the back paper on the back table for $1, or you can subscribe to it. But it predates the party. 1968, the paper was created. You know what I'm talking about? But that paper, sometimes we do four corners, like the Fruits of Islam. You know what I mean? But make a long story short, yes, folks know. Oh yeah, the Hoover movement, they be up on such and such corner. You know what I'm talking about? Or the Hoover movement, they got all they got the red, blue, and red, black, and green field, basketball field. You know what I'm talking about? So a lot of times where you might the answer, I think that Cruston, when we came up here, yeah, we came with the revolutionary spirit because that's what we are. We liberators. We are an organization of organizers. You know what I'm talking about? We're not just reactionaries. What the chairman was just speaking about, running after each issue and protesting their issue. You know what I'm talking about? We revolutionaries. We liberators. Uhuru, freedom, in our lifetime. So we came up here with that, but with that aura, if you will, it overtook, it filled the void that was missing for many years within St. Louis. We had our revolutionaries fighters. Some folks, if you look at the civil rights, said a lot of the origin came up out here within the 40s. We know about a lot of our freedom fighters and liberators, but a lot of them are dissipated. A lot of them passed, some of them just retired, you know what I'm talking about? But for a while, we was experiencing police brutality, we would experience neglect from the state, we would experience all of these different things before the party came. And once the party came to bring bread, peace, and black power, to bring a mechanism for you and I to have a voice once we came up here and filled that void, then culturally, yes, I think that a lot of the North Side started to if you will, adopt us because you got them that would not let our basketball field be dirty or dilapidated, would not let any of our buildings be touched. You know what I'm talking about? Because yes, they is wanted with us and we are one with them and we not but I think I talked too much and I think Philetta Chairman.
Yeah, I think, again, this is an important discussion. And we can't fall into this outsider stuff.
Right.
I don't know if that's what's been suggested. That's the outsiders in our community is used as the police. And the outsiders are those thugs who own the markets and what have you that rob us blind on a daily basis. The corporates, persons. Nobody asked them where they were born, or where they came up at. And even when you look at groups like the NAACP, I never heard anybody saying, "Oh, y'all from the outside." You don't even know where the hell they come from. The Urban League, y'all from the outside. Nobody says that. There's a presumption that they should be there, they could be here, but it's only those of us who are actually bringing genuine progress to the community. How the hell are you going to be an outsider? How the hell? I had no choice where those who enslaved me dropped me off any more than you did. So if they drop you off in Mississippi and drop me off someplace else, when do you become an insider? That it's just ridiculous. And it's a way that our oppressor used to separate us. And it's not just here. I mean, if you have an opportunity, especially during the plenary that we're talking about, everybody has to be here. You hear the comrades who are responsible for our Africa work, especially right there in what they have named South Africa. And they talk about how this whole opposition, hostility to Africans in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is right across this artificial border that the white man created. There was no border there before the white man created the border. And so now we're opposed to them because they're from Zimbabwe. It's just stuff that's used constantly to divide African people. That's constant. Even the stuff, like sexual preferences and men and women being divided. The woman got too much to say and too much leadership, or this person is a homosexual, etc. All efforts made to divide the working class and divide the African nation. We ain't doing that. So I just wanted to say that. And here's Zaki Baruti, President General, Universal African. Yeah, there he is. Comrade Zaki. We just you should know this, comrade. Come on up, Comrade Zaki. I've sort of talked so much that people are now getting glassy eyed and they're waiting for me to shut up. But we've just been talking a little bit about Venezuela and how the U.S. Committed this criminal act. And I was telling people we are looking at an 11 o'clock Tuesday press conference that we're going to be doing to express our outrage at that criminal act that was committed against the people of Venezuela and the colonized peoples of the world. So, Zaki, I don't know if you want to, have a few words. Let me turn it back over to Uhuru.
Okay. Once again, I want to appreciate y'all coming in. Today originally supposed to be volume series 1 and 2 as far as the year in review and the year moving forward. Because of the things that happened over the weekend, we think that it was more important for the chairman to give us the analysis behind that. That being said, I know we ate up a lot of the time. So next week we will be dealing with part 1 of the series, which is a year in review. And they're going to be speaking about what the chairman was saying as far as InPDUM in Africa, the work that they doing, Chicago, New York, St. Louis, etc. But right now, I want to bring one of our guests up, Zaki Baruti, to continue on this theme we've been speaking on for us, Venezuela. Uhuru?
I just wanted to say that Zaki and the Universal African Peoples Organization like our party and movement, are parts of the steering committee of the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. And this is something we've had going on now for several years, that saw stuff like this happening and opposed to it. And even initially, one of the biggest warmongers for a while was Obama. And we responded in part to Obama. Within a few months after his inauguration, we had the first demonstration in Washington, D.C., national demonstration, Black People's March on the White House. That was the Black is Back Coalition. Zaki Baruli and Universal African Peoples Organization, like us, they're part of the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparation. And we are opposed to this war, opposed to imperialism, colonialism, and all the aggressions that's been made against the peoples of the world. Uhuru, come here, President General Dr. Uhuru.
Uhuru,
Uhuru.
I know the chairman has laid out the analysis, so I'm just highlight a couple points. First of all, let's give it up for the chairman though, for just staying on the case. I mean, on the real side. I just want to salute to my brother. I'm outraged. I'm outraged because this system, and I always like, it's continually, nonstop, 24/7, oppressing the people. I'm outraged that this 34-count a convicted criminal, Donald Rump, has done what he's done, and he's trying to set a precedent. And we have to understand that. His eyes is not only on Venezuela, it's on Cuba, it's on Colombia because the people elected a progressive president there. His eyes is on Burkina Faso. So it's upon us, those who have the nerve to speak truth to power. And so to that end, we will be at a federal courthouse Tuesday to let the public know that we're not down with what this criminal is doing. And we got to call him like it is, a criminal on so many levels, including the Epstein files. We got to keep all that out there.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with a person who's part of the system. Like on the front page of one of our newspapers, we said the United States presidency is a criminal enterprise, including what Obama done in terms of one of the greatest crimes against Africa, with the destruction of Libya and the murder of Muammar Gaddafi. So we gotta toughen up, because this thing is for real. It ain't no plaything. It's no plaything because Brother Chairman and Jesse Nevels and Penny Hess are examples of how they tried to destroy our movement. And it has always been like that, even going back to the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, Malcolm, the Black Panther Party. But we will, in the end, be victorious. And that's how we have to go into this battle, knowing that we'll be victorious. Am I right around?
Yes.
I can't hear you. Am I right around? All right. Okay, then. So with that, that's all. I just wanted to just come say, stand in total solidarity, first of all, with the Uhuru 3. I stand in solidarity with the peoples of Venezuela. And we have to create a movement to roll back their attempts to take us back, actually. Take us all the way back to that wicked Monroe Doctrine. They're trying to take us back by even cracking on quote unquote DEI. They're trying to take us back, but we can't let that be. And we got to move forward, and we got to create a new world order based on justice, equality for all, as well as a socialist society where everybody's taken care of. So on that note, Uhuru. Mister, fight back.
Mister
Fight back.
Uhuru. Okay. I want to appreciate y'all.
We have so much appreciation for coming, Zaki. Um, you know, in his organization, I think they end most meetings with people coming in a circle. And then and holding hands, and then you release the hand and use your right hand, you scratch the back of the one next to you, and your left hand, you do the same thing. And I mentioned that because Comrade Zaki has been here. When the murder of Mike Brown happened, and we were trying to find out who we knew in Ferguson, because we wanted to get in here. And we went to the Burning Spear subscription list, and there was a sister from St. Louis who we identified, and she had a perfect name. So her last name was Justice. So and she told us about Comrade Zaki, and that's how we happened to meet Zaki. Shortly after that, was it a Black is Back? Was that a Black is Back at the furniture store, or was that? Yeah. Zaki came to that, and we've been almost inseparable since that time. So he really sort of paved the road for us to be able to be here today, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. Uhuru.
Also, if I may just make an announcement too, there's a lot that's happening. Our organization, with the support of the African People's Socialist Party, along with different organizations, we have a campaign to ship books to Gambia, West Africa. And the kind of books we're looking for is Afrocentric books, technical books, vocational books. And in fact, tomorrow evening at from 6:30 to 8:30, we'll be at Legacy Cafe and what we call Books and Cocktails. And if you have some books or even a financial donation to help us ship the books, we'd be much appreciative. And we also have the former Congresswoman who's running again, Cori Bush, for the 1st Congressional District against a sellout, a super sellout. Wesley Bell, a super, I call him a bootlicker. Okay. But anyway, if you're available tomorrow between 6:30 and 8:30 at Legacy, you're welcome to come, and please bring some books or a financial donation. God bless.
Let's support that comrade who, since our arrival, has been supporting us.
Yeah.
Uhuru. Now, once again, I want to thank each and every last one of you for joining us. But before we go forward, we want to allow you guys an opportunity to participate. So right now, I want to do a call for resources and membership. Uhuru, because we know that what we're doing, it have to be further by economics, further by greenbacks. So Uhuru, I think we got about I don't know 75 in the room. I think we got more than that. So let's try to surpass our $75 goal. But can we raise $75? And once again, it's kind of cold, but we hear the heat. We feel the heat in the winter, and in the summer we feel the AC. We have curb move, we have lights, we have flyers, but these things have to be done by economics, by money. So we know money. They claim it don't grow on trees, but ain't it made for money? I mean, ain't it made out of trees? But it's made out of trees, but it don't grow on trees. It's printed, it is earned, and it is donated. So this right now is allow for you and I to participate in our liberation. So as the basket go around, can we please donate? If someone ain't got $75, I can go and move on. No, okay. What about 20s and 10s and 5s and 1s and change? In some churches they say we want greenbacks, but if it's jingle, we want things that fold, but if it's jingle, that's fine too. So with that echoes, we take change too. You can reach us on Cash App, $ EPDUM, or epidum.org/donate. If you want to donate online. So once again, I appreciate the donations, and since we are transparent, in a minute we fit to see if we raise that goal. And
Anything that's for people go online?
do we have anything? Oh, well, nothing haven't came through yet. And once again, if you're online, you could join. I mean, you could do a cash app at $ EPDUM. That's INPDUM. Or you could get online at epidum.org/donate. Yeah, that's number one. So I want to appreciate that. And since we are transparent, like I said, in a minute, I will we're about to tell you what we raised, and hopefully it surpassed the goal. But not only that, this is your time to join. This is your time to join. We know that we have a few different membership levels. If you glance up at the screen, we know our yearly membership level is $25 per year. That's not monthly, that's not daily, but that's $25 per year. We know last week our sister Carol renewed her membership. So I said last week, I said it again, let's be like Carol and not only get involved, but stay involved, because $25, that's a small price for you to be involved with an organization who, first of all, a lot of organizers join our organization. So it's an organization of organizers, but even if you're not an organizer, what we do, we train people to organize for your freedom, your liberation in our lifetime. So $25 is our yearly membership. If you are watching from behind enemy lines, or if you know someone behind enemy lines, well, unfortunately, a lot of us do, you can sponsor them at the George Jackson level, which is only $5 per year. $5 per year. So we can't forget about the folks that's behind enemy lines we call concentration camps. Because we know that they are looking for materials too. They are, trying to seek the real, what you call it, rehabilitation. They lock you up and they try to say it's for you to be rehab, but they don't perform no type of rehabilitation that's meaningful for the people. So I love the paper. I love our paper, the Burning Spear, because not only it informs us, it's educate us, but it changed the people. Not only my brother being locked up 26 years. Hopefully, what we got going on in this month, he finna come on home, hopefully. But let him tell it. It also transformed people. He was speaking about how we know about the stories on how the Malcolm got transformed through the Muhammad talks, but he's be speaking about how my brother himself, Johnny Thomas, be holding Burning Spear studies, and folks be transformed, real rehabilitation within the prison system. So don't forget about our comrades that's behind enemy lines. $5. We spend more than that just on coffee alone daily. So let's not forget about our comrades, our family that's in these concentration camp. Uhuru. And last but not least, if you are not employed, or if you're a student, then the yearly membership is $10. $10. We're not an urban league. We're not an explorers. With require monthly membership dues. No, we know that we are the poor working class, and we are trying to change the conditions in our neighborhoods. So therefore, we make it affordable for you to participate in your liberation. So $25 yearly subscriptions. If you got a job, $5. If your family member is behind or enemy lines, or $10 if you are underemployed. Do we have the $78? So at least we did surpass our $35 goal. So thank you. Uhuru, we was able to reach that goal. So we have announcements coming up. Uhuru. So the first on the board is speaking about the plenary. With the chairman, it has been getting us. I'm sorry. The plenary, which is so important, it's starting for 17th and through the 19th. It's here locally, in St. Louis. Make sure you register now. Register now. Kinge, do you want to say a few things about it? Uhuru. James.
Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Just asking everyone, go back to the next slide, the first slide, please. This time till it's one, power in our own hands. It's not just Trump, it's the whole damn system. That is the theme for our plenary this year, April 17th through the 19th, right here in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm encouraging everyone to go to APSP plenary. APSP plenary, APSP plenary.org. Go there, read the call. Also make sure that you register. There are a lot of people that are watching from outside of St. Louis today. So I want to appreciate you one for watching, but more than that, what I want you to do is take action, and that's to get to St. Louis. Go to the website, find out where housing information is, pay your registration, and plan on joining us here in St. Louis, April 17th through the 19th.
Uhuru. So don't forget to register at, once again, apsplenary.org. And it's going to be hosted here for the 101 West Florissant. Uhuru. Let's go to the next. Okay, we know that our every Thursday our RNDP studies, which is a Revolutionary National Democratic Program studies at 7 p.m. on Zoom and Facebook. You can register at tinyurl.com/RNDP studies. Once again, tinyurl.com/RNDP studies, or Facebook at facebook.com/InPDUM. Uhuru. Uhuru. Okay, we know we having our annual giveaways, the People Clothing Exchange at 4116 Natural Bridge, January 10th, starting at 11 a.m. through 3 p.m. Once again, it's the People Clothing Exchange, and it's 4 ways to receive. Either you could bring clothes to exchange for ours, swap. You can redeem your voucher for a bag of clothes. You can bring your own bag and fill it up for $5. Cash up accepted. Or be a person in need. If you are a person in need, no swap, no voucher, no money. Just come on down. Once again, the People Clothing Exchange, January 10th, 11 a.m. It begins and goes on till 3 p.m. at 4617 Natural Bridge Avenue. You can either call them at 314-380-8014 or email them at stlouis@anwauhuru.org. Uhuru? Uhuru. Or if, yes, man, I'll repeat it one more time. You can contact them at 314-380-8014. You can email them at stl@anwauhuru Uhuru, which is UHURU.org. Or you can volunteer at ivolunteer.org/Project St. Louis. Uhuru? The address is 4617 Natural Bridge at the Liberation Center. There you go. Uhuru. So we could annual cadre development. Uhuru, we got cadre school, development school, and colonialism as a mode of production. It would be held February 28th through April 4th. February 28th through April 4th. Registrations open up at February 14th. Members is $30. Uh, Lifetime members is free, and non-members is $60 for Cadre's Development School. So come on, y'all, let's register. It open up on Valentine's. Ain't this love? Yeah, that's love. Uhuru. Let's go on to the next. Last but not least, we know we need you to help build the Sunny Rallies. We need you to help us grow bigger and better. You could join the outreach, security, food, team, and AV. AV. I know it's so many things I mentioned. It's a lot of things I might not necessarily mention. So if you see any things up there that you might have a skill in that's not written, come on down, volunteer and give the people your skill, Uhuru. But bring your skills or get trained to help us build. But most importantly, bring yourself, right? Because without our people, you do not have organization. So right now, it's Karamu time. So what we having for Karamu? What we having for Karamu? Yes, sir.
Before that announcement.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that the day of the press conference that we talked about will be Wednesday. It will be Wednesday, not Tuesday. So that's at 11 a.m.
Oh, and I'm sorry, and I thank you for the clarification. So mind you, 11 a.m. Wednesday press conference here, right?
No.
From the federal building, I think on 10th Street. We have
Downtown Federal Building. So yeah, so once again, so we won't be confused nobody. Wednesday at 11 o'clock, we will be having a press conference downtown at the Federal Building. Now, about round of applause, round of hands showing. How many of us gonna be showing up? I know I will be. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 in the room, 5 in the room, 6 in the room, 7 in the room, 7 in the room.
Alan, Maureen, Gregory,
Westbrook Zaki, Chairman.
what, King
And we know that now that we know this information, pass this information forward and get the people out. Uhuru? Uhuru. So, what we having, Conrad?
So we'll be having pasta. It's pasta and vegetable salad and all of that. But what we'll be doing, starting from here on, is going back to a set menu. I know we tried it before, but, so next week is gonna be tacos. So I wanted to see if I can get some people to volunteer for possibly bringing in items to add to that. So whether it's the lettuce, I can do the meat. We need somebody to do the vegan meat. And,
You can put me down for the lettuce.
okay, so Westbrook on lettuce.
I'll do vegan crumbles.
Okay, and King on vegan crumbles. And then salsa and all of the other sides. Anybody available for any of that? And other things you think would add to it? Okay, salsa. Ally? Salsa? Okay, salsa. Okay. And then you still need shells. And if you are not able to bring anything, you can consider possibly providing a donation of like $1 to $5 or something like that to contribute so that, the people who are doing the main things, or it can be used to kind of get the things that are needed. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
How many vouchers to donate some taco shells? How many boxes those taco shells could I bring?
Probably about 3 boxes, depending on if they have like the 10 or 12. And then, I usually go to Sam's Club, they have a box of 36, I think, something like that. Mhm.
I bring some tacos.
Okay. So James on taco shells. Where's some cheese? Oh, yeah. Can I do this? Forgot about cheese, I don't know how. And sour cream and all of that.
Right on, right on. So we ain't forgetting about the chairman, because y'all always thinking about us meat eaters, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got some vegan cheese. Don't worry about it. We got some vegan crumbles. Yeah. Yeah. For the meat eaters and the non-meat eaters.
Okay,
So
that's all.
So all right, I want to appreciate it. I want to appreciate you. So I'll see each and every last one of you next Sunday, same time, same place. Let's eat. Uhuru. Fist up.